Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 5, AM2255A, who will present a case study about power and gender bias. This is our group members, which is Emir Iskandar, Rafiqi Asmawi, and Alif Asnawi. Now, let us start our discussion with the case study and bring to you Emir Iskandar for the first presenter.
As for the introduction part, let us see it as the case of Ellen Powell and her gender discrimination lawsuit against Kleiner Perkins Cloudfield and bias sheds light on the challenges faced by women in the male-dominated tech venture capital industry. Powell's decision to speak up against gender bias and harassment within the company sparked a significant legal battle that garnered widespread attention. This discussion will explore Powell's choices in giving her values, assess the effectiveness of her actions, and analyze the case through the lens of the 7 pillars of giving voice to values, GVV. As been given in the discussion questions, let us take a look at the first question, which is at what points in this case study did Powell choose to voice her values? How did she voice her values in each of these instances? And for the answer is that there are various circumstances in the case study where Powell chose to voice her values. She was quite sensitive and couldn't ignore any perceived discrimination against her or others. When Powell felt that she was gender discriminated, she took all steps possible to address the issue. In the first instance, she voices her values when she thinks that her senior is non-committal to assisting her fighting for women's welfare in the organization. On 4th January 2012, Powell writes a formal memo to the superiors and other external firms seeking redress. In her memo, she mentions several workplace challenges in the workplace, such as harassment and exclusion from official meetings. Moreover, when Powell was fired on 1st of October 2012, she continued fighting for her rights by voicing against gender discrimination and harassment. She files a case and stands by herself against the firm. Powell testifies that the firm lacks human rights process and had exhausted all possible options trying to address the issue. She also voices how she was discriminated against when she wanted to become the firm's vice chancellor. Powell claims men with similar qualifications were considered for the position. Lastly, when she was fired, she files a lawsuit and loses the case. However, despite the loss, she says she will ensure that her story is known by every business to act as a lesson to those who discriminate against women.
Question 2. Do you think Powell acted on her values effectively? Why or why not? Does the fact that she lost the lawsuit impact your reasoning? Explain.
Answer for the next question. Powell effectively act on her value by voicing out her challenge and option. She was go-getter who couldn't stand discrimination of any form. Despite losing the case against the defendant, Powell still stood by what she believed in or opted to ensure that her story is widely shared across the business. Even though her negative performance at work led to her case close, she still believed that the firing was not based on the performance but rather on the agenda. Not everyone has the power of ability to stand against discrimination in the workplace. For that reason, I acknowledge Powell's effort is seeking justice. She also never changed her belief even after losing the case against the company. During the case hearing, she revealed that she had tried severally to solve the case internally, but she received no response from the senior authorities. She, therefore, lost the case both internally and externally. However, Powell's loss does not in any way affect what I think about her. She is a strong woman who never find a reasonable person to listen to her plight. For instance, she lost the case due to negative performance record as the juries don't consider the case discrimination aspect. She advocates for equal rights and opportunities regardless of gender. She believed she could not be the firm vice chancellor due to discrimination since she was equally qualified for the job. Pau effectively acted on her value by exhausting all justice channels and confidently promising to share her plight with other business.
Question 3. Think through the 7 pillars of GVV in relation to the case study above. Can you identify each pillar in Pau's actions? Are there any pillars that you think Pau could have engaged more effectively? Explain.
Answer for the question 3. In this case, there are various GVV pillar evident. For the first pillar is value. Pau primary value is fairness, and she fight against gender discrimination to ensure that fairness is achieved in the workplace. Considering the second pillar, choice. Pau had the choice of whether to voice her value or not. She chose not to compromise her value to protect the firm management on her job. She resolved to voice her value through all available means. Pau showed the third pillar, normalization, by accepting that conflicts are part of life and learn to handle the process calmly and skillfully. Following the right channel, the purpose of Pau's struggle for justice is to advocate for end to gender discrimination in any workplace, thus justifying the fourth GVV pillar. The fifth pillar, self-knowledge and enlightenment, has been demonstrated during the court proceeding where Pau's legal team revealed that she has been too bold as per her performance review. Pau know what she want to achieve and boldly stand by it. In this pillar, she could have engaged more effectively by solving the discrimination issue at company level. However, she was fired before she could enact her ability at this level. The sixth pillar, voice, is achieved when Pau write a memo addressing what issue and file a lawsuit against the firm for failing to ensure fairness in their dealings. The last pillar, reason and rationalization, is demonstrated when Pau argued that men with equivalent qualification to women are quickly promoted to highest position.
Question 4. If you were in Pau's position at Cleaner Perkins, what would you have done and why? How might the pillars of GVV influence your actions? Select one of the pillars and describe how you would enact it in the situation described in the case study.
Answer to question 4. I believe Pau handled the issue using the right method and tools. She also sought help from the relevant institution to court. If I were in her position, I would have acted similarly with a few modifications in my method. I would speak out about what has been happening within the department without fear of dismissal. I know that fairness in the workplace is a critical value that should be enhanced using all possible means. I would not allow the male counterpart to exclude me from company meeting based on my gender. Like Pau, I would have filed a lawsuit against the firm if the senior authorized failed to solve my plight. Despite Pau lose with the lawsuit, she stood for herself and used her situation to motivate other individuals worldwide. Considering the GVV pillars, Pau was successful in demonstrating almost all pillars. However, if I were in her position, I would modify the 5 pillars, self-knowledge and enlightenment, which was fully implemented or was unclear. I would have written the issue I have in my mind and discussed them with the non-committal senior partner. I would aim to change this partner mindset because maybe he couldn't just realize what had been happening within the workplace. Failure to do this, I would then proceed to HR. I would have to improve on my persuasion skill to solve the issue at company level.
Question 5. Based on the case study's information, if you were a juror, would you have ruled in favor of Pau or Cleaner Perkins? Why? How might your own values or biases influence your decision?
Based on my own bias or values, I would be tempted to favor Pau. I understand that gender discrimination is a very sensitive issue that needs to be acted against. Despite my advocacy for fairness, I would act as per the law's provision as a juror. Considering the evidence against Pau brought by the defendant, I would have to rule in favor of the firm. Pau wasn't able to prove that she had been discriminated against while working for the company. On the other hand, the company provided evidence that showed that Pau was fired based on performance rather than gender. Pau claims that she was not promoted due to her gender could not be substantiated. Moreover, it was perceived that she had some cold blood with the top management and was not performing well in her job. This poor performance was the reason for her termination and was proven in the court. As a juror, I would use the evidence provided in court and they would all point against Pau. However, besides voting against Pau, I would probe into her claims of gender discrimination in the workplace. Her claims may be valid, just a lack of evidence. Gender discrimination is a critical legal issue that should not be downplayed due to lack of evidence.
Question 6. Have you ever worked at a job where you faced ethically questionable behavior? What did you do? In retrospect, do you wish you had done anything differently? How would you prepare for a similar situation today?
In my work experience with various companies, I have realized that no workplace is perfect. From gender discrimination to the theft of resources, no company is ethically perfect. I had worked in IKEA before where there were several theft issues. The loss was amounting to not less than 5,000 ringgit per month from the company's data. The menace was generally conducted in the accounts office with a few in other departments. I work as a co-worker of the planning department and our office is located next to the account. So on one of my working days, I accidentally overheard the accountants talking about the modifying the account data to balance all the expenditures. In the process, I realized that they were abusing the company expense account by accounting for non-business related expenses. Moreover, the business related expenses were overquoted so that they would have extra cash for personal expenses. And then I decided to report the issue to my manager, who promised to investigate and deal with the problem. But after some time, I realized that the manager was not doing anything about it. So when I asked my manager about it, he insisted that investigation were being done quietly. Well, I also opted to investigate the issue for more evidence and realized that my manager also was part of the fraud. I didn't know who to trust with the case and therefore decided to keep quiet to safeguard my job. Therefore, as subordinate, we also were not allowed to interact directly with the top management. However, I wish I had filed an opportunity to speak to the top management Should a similar situation occur, I would seek external assistance in dealing with the issue, such as filing a lawsuit or hiring a private investigator to find enough evidence for my claims.
Question 7. Have you ever witnessed or experienced discrimination in the workplace? What did you do? In retrospect, would you have done something differently? What do you think would be the ethically ideal way to handle instances of discrimination in the workplace?
In my previous company, I had thought that the hiring process was fair until I was made part of the recruitment panel. The situation is the company was hiring for the position of accountant. There were five candidates for the interview, and only one was to be selected. The interviewing process went on successfully, and the results were submitted for review by the top authorities. A male candidate had won, however, the top leaders opted for the second, a female, as I know that the female candidate is the daughter of human resource manager, but they claim that they had lost much money in the hands of male accountants in the past. When I attempted to intervene and advocate for the winner's right, I was told that I had not said a word in the final choice of employees. I was even threatened with dismissal should I continue with meddling in the company business. I thought of filing a lawsuit but realized that the initial interview results had been modified to favor the runners up and lack evidence. If I had a chance to do something differently, I would produce copies of the original results before submission to the top authorities, which would be evidence against the company. The most ethical way to deal with discrimination in the workplace is to report any form of prejudice to the relevant authorities. Uh, should such bias arise today, I would stand firm with copies of original interview results as evidence against such menace. Moreover, I would campaign against gender discrimination and even advocate for opening a gender office within the institution to deal with gender issues.
To sum up, from what we have been discussed in the case of Ellen Pao, we can conclude that the Ellen Pao case serves as a compelling study of the challenges individuals face when confronting gender bias in the workplace. While the legal outcome may not have favored Pao, her actions ignited a broader conversation about gender discrimination in the tech industry. Analyzing this case through the lens of giving voice to values provides valuable insights into the importance of voicing values, normalizing dissent, and fostering ethical workplaces. It encourages individuals to critically examine their actions, learn from experiences, and contribute to building more inclusive and equitable work environments.